Welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Amen.
And here we are. vaYeitev Elohim lameyaldot. 1 second, I'm going to have to take care of something here. Okay. vaYeitev Elohim lameyaldot. Elohim, God, dealt well to the midwives. Vayirev ha'am v'yatzmu ma'od. And the people, the nation, multiplied and became very mighty, very strong. vaYeitev. Heitiv lahem. He did well by them, right? V'zeh chaluk b'teva. This actually I'm going to have to rely on you, Lauren, with Safaria or whatever, or your Chabad translation, okay? Because this means something like it's divided in the word. It's literally what that means. Sheyesuda, okay? Its root, right? Its foundation. Shtei otiyot is 2 letters. Venatan la, and Scripture, I assume, means Scripture gave to her, that is the word, vav yud barosh. Put a vav and a yud, right? The vav and the yud at the beginning of the word, barosha, at the beginning of the word. Keshehi ba'a, when it comes to ledaber, to speak, belashon vayif'al, when it wants to speak about vayaf'il. So it's hifil, when it wants to speak in the causative grammatical sense. Hu nakud. So in that case, when a verb or when a root is put into the hifil, root of a verb is put into the hifil, right? Hu nakud hayud. In that case, the yud is pointed, v'tzere, with etzere. Etzere is this vowel here. That's called etzere. Okay, here. There's another tzere. It's the name of the vowel. So interesting here, okay? This is hard for me to translate well because of the grammatical, what he's saying here. Shehu kamatz katan. So this is so Rashi's explaining grammar here, and sometimes perhaps the terminology changes, and in how you describe these things, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. There is a term kamatz katan, right? It's a vowel. The word kamatz is the name of a vowel, and generally a kamatz is this vowel here. That's the name of this vowel here. And nowadays, when you talk about a kamatz katan, right, a little kamatz, you are talking about a or sound. That instead of, normally, of course, you know that the kamatz is sounded as an ah. Normally, that's how it sounded. But nowadays, when you talk about a kamatz katan, you're talking about the same, in other words, the vowel looks exactly the same, but instead of being pronounced as an ah, in this particular grammatical position, it's pronounced as an o, In other words, it's really a whole different vowel, and there are sidurim nowadays, or chumashim, which actually write it slightly differently. So they'll elongate the down line, or they'll put it in heavier print to tell you that it's a kamatz katan and is to be pronounced as an
or disconnect them.
Yeah. So here, that's right. That's true. That's another way they do that, is they disconnect the horizontal line from the vertical line. But there are no examples that I see here, right, of a kamatz katan. And my question is, why he's calling it a kamatz katan here, and whether he calls a tzere, right? Whether when he says a tzere, he's talking about the form of the verb, sorry, forgive me, the form of the vowel that it takes. But nowadays, when you talk about a kamatz katan, you're talking about a specific vowel and its specific application. So here in parentheses it says o besegol, and a segol is this. You're getting a lot of grammar this morning. This is the name of this vowel. This vowel is called a kamatz katan. By the way, this would then be called either just a kamatz or a kamatz gadol, right? Kamatz gadol, a large kamatz as opposed to a small kamatz. So here we call the segol shehu patach katan. So this is interesting. So they're definitely getting into some depth here, unless he's simply talking about terminology. In other words, when Rashi talks about a kamatz katan, he's talking about, it's interesting, is he talking about, he's talking about the tseire, right, the verb tseire? When he talks about segol, he might talk about a patach katan. And nowadays, in grammar, in the grammar that I've learned, there's no such term as a patach katan. And by the way, this is a patach. This is a patach. And if you don't mind my getting a little more technical. So we know this is pronounced as an ah, and this is also, at least in Sephardic Hebrew, it's also pronounced as an ah, right? We pronounce both these vowels as ah. What's the difference? The difference is that this is considered a long vowel, and this is considered a short vowel. A short vowel. All right. So normally, so here's another short vowel, and you notice that there's a dagesh, there's a dot in this lamed here. And the function of that dot is to, in a sense, double the letter in terms of how you syllabify the word. I'm getting very technical here. But so it's actually ha-mi yal ladot, right? You heard me double the lamed here? So that what this does is it closes, it's a short vowel, and if you look at, for example, the word immortal in English, right? What did you do with the M following that I? You doubled it, right? Normally the word's spelled mortal, one M. But when you say immortal, there's a double M there. And the reason is that the I of immortal is a short vowel, and so the M closes that syllable, so it's actually immortal, right? This is the same function in Hebrew as well. But in Hebrew, you show that because the vowels came later as a grammatical application, there are lots of these rules that govern how you point words, And I hope I'm not getting so technical that you're losing me entirely, but you're getting just a sense of the depth and beauty of Hebrew punctuation. So he says, kagun, so this, I think, is I'd have to go back. Well, here, vaYeitev Elohim laMeyaldot, right? So here, vaYerev Bevat Yehuda. So I'd have to assume this is pointed the same way, right? So this is, I think this is from Echa, it's from the Book of Lamentations, and it's speaking metaphorically about Jerusalem and the destruction of Judah, and refers to it as the daughter of Judah. So it means he contended against the daughter of Judah, and I believe it's talking about God. Because part of Lamentations and the lament is how God has rejected the Jewish people and punished them and sent them into exile, etc. Right. Harbe So to me, I pronounce this hirba ta'aneha. So that's strange. Maybe this is just a continuation of this verse, because it certainly is the language of Lamentations as well. But again, not having checked this verse out, I don't know for sure. Unless, Lauren, in your translation and in your Chabad, they're telling you this. Do you want to take a moment and explain?
Well, from the beginning or from this part?
Just this part for now, please.
Well, it says God benefited the midwives and he increased in the daughter of Judah. He increased pain.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. It could have. I thought it was coming from the root riv, but this is not. This is
Verbe.
again from the same here, right? Vayirev, perhaps it's the same from rav, meaning to multiply. Okay, so he could have this could be Rashi's explanation of what it means here. V'chein. So I would normally pronounce that V. How do they have this pointed, Lauren?
I don't have vowels in my Rashi,
Really?
right? Unfortunately,
Okay, I'd have to look. Okay, so what I'm going to do is instead of taking up the
I
time,
can look on Safaria and see if
well,
they have vowels in the Rashi.
I think they do. I think they do, and I would have to look, but I
Okay,
don't
go
want to
in
take the
there.
time now to do it.
Safaria.
Okay. So this means he exiled its remnant, Hasha Erit. And this is from Chronicles to chapter 36. The Nebuzaradan, and he's explaining, this is Rashi's explanation, that the general, right, the Babylonian general by the name of Nebuzaradan, Higla et Hashe'erit. He caused the remnant, those who survived the attack, right, and the war, he exiled them to Babylonia. And then, okay, so normally I think this is, so maybe it's saying Vayegal. So is it using again? And do you have the same vowels? Do you have this tsere there as well?
My Safaria is not loading up.
Okay, all right.
So, and I don't have vowels in the Chabad.
All right, let me look at something. Well, this would be in the main text. So let me look. Let me see if I have Safaria handy.
In the main, okay, so except for in the notes, sometimes there are vowels, but when
Right.
exiles, it says Vayegel,
Yeah, so there we go. There we
two
go.
segolim.
Okay. Interesting. Sorry, it's taking me so long here. 120, chapter 1, verse 20. I want to make sure I'm telling you correctly. Yeah. Sorry. I'm going too quickly here, scrolling. Yeah, vaYeitev. So I'd have to try and find the Rashi. It's all going to take me time, I'm sorry to say. I'll go back to the share. Sorry, let me go back here. All right, so these all must be pointed in the same way, where it's a tsere there. So vayefen zanav el zanav. So must be the story of Samson from the book of Judges. That's where you find the story of Samson, chapter 15, where Samson takes these foxes, he captures these foxes, and he ties their tails together and lights them. Sorry about this, it's not exactly PC, and he burns the fields of the Philistines. So, Vayefen Zanav El Zanav, I'm assuming is talking there. This is that story in Judges. So here again, Rashi's explaining it. So, Hifne Haznavot Zolazo. He turned the tails one to another. Kol Ela, and Rashi says, Kol Elu Lashon Hifil et Acherim. It is where one causes something else to do something else, right? That's the Hifil. It's called in grammar, at least as I learned it, the causative form of the verb. So, for example, the best example I can come up with is lovesh, lavash, in Hebrew means to wear. So ani lovesh, I wear something, is ani lovesh. But if you want to say I dressed someone, you'd say in Hebrew hilbish. You'll use this hifil form of the verb, which means I cause someone to get dressed, right? So that's the way you'd put it. That's how you'd handle it in Hebrew. Ukeshehu midaber belashon vayif'al. But when it's talking about what a person has done themselves, right, or is going to do in the imperfect sense, hu nakud hayud bechirik. So in that case, the yud, this utility yud, is pointed with a chirik, and a chirik is this vowel here, this e sound. That's a chirik. Kagon, and he gives an example. So look at this. It's spelled exactly the same, but instead of vaYeitev, it's vaYitav, be'enav, and it seemed good in his eyes. Lashon hutav, right? It became good. V'chein vayirev ha'am. So you notice it's not vayerev, it's vayirev ha'am. The people became very, very great. Here it is. Vayirev ha'am, right? So because it's the people themselves that became great. But in this case, God is doing something good, is causing the midwives to prosper. Let's make sure I found this here. Yes. V'chein vayirev ha'am nitrabe ha'am. That is to say that the people, the nation became great. It multiplied greatly. Vayigal Yehuda. Judah went into captivity, went into exile. Higla Yehuda. That is to say that Judah, again, it's not something caused Judah, but Judah themselves went into captivity. Here again, Vayifen, notice it's an E sound under the Yud, Vayifen ko vacho. He turned this way and that. Pana lakan, this person themselves turned to this side and to this side. V'al tashiveni, okay, and Rashi says, don't argue with me, basically. He says, don't challenge me, right, or respond. Vayelech, vayeshev, vayered. So you notice that under all those ones, it's an A, right? It's an A sound. A vayelech, vayeshev, vayered, vayetze, right? So why? Because they're not hifil form. They are the regular form of the verb, right? Lefi she'enan migzeratan shel elu, and that they are not in the same form as the others. Shaharei hayud, and the reason Rashi says is that the yud in this case yesod bahem. The yud in these particular verbs is part of the actual root of the verb, whereas in this case here, okay, the yud is part of causing the imperfect. It's part of the imperfect form of the verb, right? It's a utility letter. Whereas in this case, in these particular cases, they're all part of the root of the verb itself. The yud here is not functioning in a utility way. So that's what he means when he says, hayud yesod bahem. Okay? Yarad. So yarad is how you designate the verb, right? As its own, just the three root letters. Yarad, yatsa, yashav, yalach. Okay, Yud ot shlishit bo. The Yud there is the third letter. So terribly technical. Thank you very much for this particular moment and this particular lesson at this particular time. Wow. Okay, and we'll just finish up with this, right? vaYeitev Elohim lamilialdot. Right? Mahu hatova. So Rashi says, of course, the next verse is going to say what exactly it was that was so good. How did God exactly make their lives so good? And we'll stop right here. Wow.
So I had to re-download Safaria, so now I've got everything again.
Yes.
With the vowels.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully I didn't make you feel ashamed of me. And I'm going to stop the recording right here. And with God's help, I'll be able to take a look at this today. And I'm going to set up a bookmark.
And also, I just wanted to mention, because I did look back to where we didn't start, but it said the reason he's dealing well with the midwives is that they help save the Hebrew children.
Absolutely.
From the evil decree of Pharaoh.
Right. Give me a moment. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you all.